Hello, my name's Alexander White, and I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about sidechaining. So first of all, what is sidechaining? Well, it's where you take a processor like maybe, for example, a compressor, and you put it on a track like maybe a bass guitar, and rather than have the compressor work on that bass guitar, you actually sidechain it to the kick drum. So every time the kick drum hits, the bass guitar gets compressed very slightly, or by however much you wish it to be. And just for that little moment, it clears out of the way of the kick drum so you can actually hear that kick coming through a little bit clearer. Obviously, this is incredibly helpful in mixing because you will find low-end fights so much. You will usually resort to extreme EQ to try to get the two to separate, and obviously that can sound quite unnatural. So in conjunction with EQ and normal channel compression, sidechaining can be an extra little benefit to help separate those things out. So let's have a look at an example that I've got here. I'll just play you a little bit of it, and then I'll set up the sidechain compression so you can see how you go about setting it up, and then I'll go a little extreme with it so you can really hear the effect and so you know how to apply this to your mixes. Let's have a listen to what we're going to be playing with today. Cool, so that's just the drums and the bass from this track. So let's go to the bass guitar track. Here it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the SSL G-Bus compressor. This is a compressor that has been around for a long time. Lots of people have seen it. Lots of people are familiar with it. And it has the ability in Luna to have the sidechain function enabled. So what we do to start off with this is we just click sidechain, and then we click kick, and you can see it's a sidechain source and it says kick. Once we've enabled that, we can close this and let's play our track. Initially it will do nothing because we haven't set anything up on the compressor, but let's play a little bit of it just to make sure. Well, actually, straight away, it's such a hot kick drum on this track, it's actually making the needle bounce just very, very, very slightly. So straight away, we're getting that reaction. Now I'm going to just bring the threshold down a little bit so we can actually really see that needle moving. And if you listen out, you'll see this needle, even though this compressor is on the bass track, it's going to move every time the kick drum hits. Have a listen. Now let me go really extreme with it so you can see just how much you can get a signal out of the way of something else. I'm going to make the attack time super fast here. I'm going to make the release time super fast. So in other words, what this is going to do is when the kick hits, it's going to immediately pull the bass down. There's going to be no waiting. We're going to get right out of the way of that kick. And then as soon as the kick lets up, the needle is going to come straight back. So we have basically the shortest amount of time that this compressor can do with the bass guitar being ducked out of the way of the kick. So let's have another listen and play with this threshold control, which is how much level reduction that we're going to get. So that's an extreme example, but it's so you can really hear how that effect works. You would be unlikely to use that in a real mix. I would say that sidechain compression is, as I mentioned earlier, best used in conjunction with things like EQ, normal channel compression. You kind of use it, I would tend to use it a little bit later on in the mix. Once I've tried the standard kind of stuff, maybe just doing a little bit of gentle EQ separation between the kick and the snare, kick and the bass. And then when I've kind of done all that, I'm going to think, okay, I could just do with that kick being a little bit clearer against the bass. I like where the level is. I like how loud the bass is, but I just want to get a little bit more of that kick drum. Now, let's show you another thing, which is as you increase the release time, of course, the bass guitar is going to spend more time in compression after a kick has hit. And that is another useful thing, because you might want more of the kick to be present than a super fast release time. So let's have a listen and I'll increase the release. Again, that makes a really, really big difference. So when you're doing sidechain compression, make sure you do play with the release and the attack. It's still all really, really important. It's as important as getting your settings right for normal channel compression, because you've just got to get it moving. That is one wonderful benefit between the bass and the kick with sidechain compression, is you can get like a groove going on with the bass guitar that feels like the bass player is kind of digging in the right places and playing out in the right places, just adding to the groove a little bit more. Sidechain compression is absolutely wonderful and really does help. There's also another kind of sidechain function, which is not about sidechain like this, where we sidechain it from another track. So I'm going to clear that off, but it's actually about the sidechain filter on a compressor. So what this does is it's a sidechain that is an EQ, a high pass filter, which is making the compressor ignore all of the frequencies of that band. It doesn't change the sound of it. The sound still comes through full range. It just means the compressor's only listening to the high end. And I think the best place to show you this would actually be, if I drag this over to here, on the drum bus. So I'm just going to mute the bass for a second and reset some of these controls a little bit. And I'm just going to play the drums. And I will show you the difference between compressing with the sidechain filter turned on versus it off. And the difference is quite noticeable. It's not right or wrong. It depends on the situation. So don't always use your filter and don't never use it. Try it on different material and see which works best. But let's have a listen to the drums for a second. Okay, let's now roll this back until we're getting quite a lot of compression, so you can really hear how this changes the effect. Let me just remove the various reverbs, because the reverbs are coming from the channel. So as we turn this down compression wise, we're going to hear more reverb. So let's just have it dry for a moment. So a very, very compressed drum kit sound, fair enough. But let's raise our filter here and listen to how the texture of this drum compression changes. Listen one more time, and as I do it, listen to the kick drum and how the kick drum, and you can even see it actually on the meter, the kick drum suddenly doesn't trigger the compression, only the snare drum does. So you get this kind of tight sound on the snare drum without losing all of the kick. So here we go again. So in this case, using a sidechain filter on the compressor can make heavy compressions sound much more natural, almost like a mix control can make it sound a lot more natural. So again, sidechaining things, whether it's via a sidechain filter on a compressor or sidechaining it from another sound, can really help just for a little moment create a window in your mix just for the sounds to come through. So I hope you have a lot of fun trying sidechaining because it's awesome. As you can see, it creates loads of really fun opportunities for helping getting a great mix. Please let me know what you think of sidechaining. Do you like sidechaining? Do you use it very much? Have you ever seen sidechaining before? I'd love to know. And please let me know if you want me to produce any videos on any audio topic to do with mixing or recording, because I would love to create stuff for you. Just let me know in the comments and I will see you on a video very soon.